So let's see how this transport concept works, okay? And how these transports are going to move from one system to another system, and how we need to assign the objects to a transport request. Let's say we are creating some report application.
Sir, please cache your screen, sir.
Yes. Okay. So let's say we are creating some report application. Okay, some program. So what a programs involves, like what is the program development involves? We need to create one program. Okay. And where the data should be coming from, where the data is available.
From some tables.
From some database tables, right? Backend database tables.
Sir.
We're going to select the data and displaying it in the report. Okay.
Yes, sir.
But let's assume our application is a custom application.
Okay.
For that custom application, what we need to create? We need to create program, a custom program, and then we need to create relevant custom tables. Since it's a custom functionality, there may not be any standard tables available in the system. So for that, we need to create custom tables. So this application needs one program. So program will get data from DB, right? And this program needs to store the data or to get the data tables, right? Now we are creating two objects, program and a table, right? Now
Yes, sir.
when we assign an object, when we are creating a program, when we click on save, it will ask for an object, right? Sorry, package, right?
Yes,
When
sir.
we assign the package, it will ask for a transport request, and we are going to assign a transport request for this. For example, DE some DEX transport request will be like this, and we are going to assign this program to this transport request.
Okay.
And we need to create tables also, right?
Yes, sir.
For the program, for the custom tables we need, because standard tables are not supporting. And whenever you are creating a table, to which transport request you have to assign? Do you need to create new transport request? So when you create the table and click on save, it will ask for a package. And when you provide the package name, it will ask for a transport request. Do you need to create a new transport request, or you need to assign the transport request which is already created for the program?
You can assign the same transport request, sir.
So since we have already created one transport request for this application, we can assign same transport request. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you need to create one more program. For the same application, it is required to create one more program. Then to which then when you are creating this program to, it will ask for a package, and again when you assign the package, it will ask for a transport request, right? Do you need
Yes,
to
sir.
create a new transport request for this new program, or you need to assign to the same transport request?
Based on the dependence.
My application name is application 1. Okay. some task 100. So they have created a task to create this application 1. I'm developing these applications. Okay, this application might contain multiple programs and multiple tables. Okay, so I've created one program and assigned the transport request, and I've created some tables and assigned the same transport request. What about the second program? Can we assign the same transport request or different transport request?
We can assign the same.
This program also belongs to the same transport request. We have to assign the same transport request because the application, whatever the programs we are creating, it is for same application, not for the different application, right?
Yes, sir.
Because that's why we assign a common transport request for all these objects, including tables. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Whatever the objects you create, how many number of objects you create, all the applications, if all those objects are created for this specific application, and you have to assign same transport request for all. Don't create separate transport request for each object. Please remember. Okay?
Okay.
It will allow you to create, but that is not a good practice. When you are developing one application and whatever the objects you created for that application, right? You have to assign all those objects to one transport request. Okay?
Yes, sir.
For example, for some applications, we may need to create 100 objects, including tables, some data types, programs. If you keep assigning a separate transport request for each object, how many transport requests we have to release to move that application from development to test?
Almost 100.
100 transport requests. And it will be confusing to maintain these 100 transport requests. When you need to apply this same program to production, you need to apply 100 transport requests, right? Instead of simply applying only one transport request. Okay? So for that reason, always assign objects only to the specific transport request which we created for this application. Okay? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
In some cases, in some projects, what do they follow? They create separate transport requests for data dictionary objects. Data dictionary in the sense tables. They create separate transport requests for tables. Okay? And they will assign all the database related objects, right? Whatever the database related objects they have created, they will assign to a specific separate transport request. Okay? All the database related objects, whatever they created for this application, they'll create a separate transport request. Okay? And they'll assign all the database objects to this transport request, and all application programs and all the programs they'll assign to different transport requests. When they are releasing the transport, right? Which one they release first? What is the dependent object for the program?
Database.
Database objects. Without any database objects, programs are not going to work. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So for that reason, which transport we should apply first?
database.
In this
Transport.
case, first we create a separate transport request for all database objects, and we release that one first to the test system. Once all the database objects are moved to test system, then we move programs transport request, source code related transport request. In some projects, they follow this approach to make sure all the dependent database objects are already applied to test system. Because without those, the program is not going to work. Okay? Clear?
Sir.
So, but in some projects, they'll assign database objects to the same transport request, which they are assigning for the program. Okay?
Okay.
So, till now, see, when we are working on this test system, we are creating our own transport requests, right? By click on create. Correct? We are creating our own transport request, right?
Yes, sir.
That is also different from project to project. Okay? In some projects, we create our own transport requests. In some other projects, whenever there is a task raised, right, to develop something or to fix some issue,
Yes, sir.
for that issue, they will create a separate transport request. The functional consultant, that whoever providing the requirement, he will provide a transport request. For that, they'll use a separate tool called solution manager. There we don't have choice to create the transport request. They have to give us a transport request number, and we have to use that specific transport request. Okay. So whenever you join in a project, right, first you have to understand the project process, how they are creating transport request, what are the naming conventions they are following. Okay. And you have to understand all these things. Programming and all you can manage somehow. Okay. Project's process is important. And I'll give some overview on data dictionary. So what is the transaction code for data dictionary?
SC11.
SC11 is the transaction code for data dictionary. So what is this data dictionary? Data dictionary is a interface between database and application server. Okay. So where can you find database tables? In which server? In which server database tables are residing?
SC09.
No, I'm talking about server and database tables. I'm not asking about transport requests. SC09 is the transaction code for transport requests. I'm talking about database tables and the layer, in which layer database tables will be available.
Metadata.
So looks like all you guys have already forgot three-tier architecture, SAP three-tier architecture. Presentation server, application server, and database server. So in which server we can find the database tables?
Application data. Yes, sir. Application.
No, database tables will be available in database server, database layer. Okay, by using application programs which are in the application layer, we access those database tables data. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Whatever the GUI we are using, what is this server? We are able to access some transaction codes, right? What is the GUI we are using? And we are accessing some applications here, right? Using some transaction codes. What is this layer? Whatever we are using, is it a presentation server, application server, or database server? I'm using this GUI and I've logged into some 2020 system, and I'm able to access different applications, right? Using some transaction codes. What layer is it?
Application layer.
Is it a presentation layer, application layer, or a database layer? It is a presentation layer. Please remember, we are not using application layer. This is a presentation layer. As a users, we are using this presentation layer to access SAP system. But whenever you see, I'm just executing this statement SC11 in the presentation layer. I'm executing this statement in the presentation layer. But where this statement is going to actually execute?
Application layer.
Will execute in application layer because that program is available in application layer, right? Presentation layer is this SAP GUI. All of you are able to access this, right? From anywhere,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Yes,
The
sir.
system you can access from anywhere using this SAP GUI. But where this application layer server will be? This application server will be in some data center or in their some head office. It's a separate server. We cannot access application server, right? It will be installed on some Linux or Windows system. I have shown you, I think. This one. Check. This is the application server. This is the application server. On which system it is running?
Linux.
Linux system. Okay. It is installed somewhere in their in their head office or in some office. They are going to maintain this server. What is the database server? Database server is HDB, that is HANA database, right? This is the schema. This is the host, means the database server host address, right?
Yes, sir.
Again, that is a different server. Now, whatever the applications we have executed in the SAP GUI, we are using presentation server to access program. To access this program, what I'm using? I'm using a presentation server. As a user, I'm using a presentation server to access this program. But actually, where this program actually resides? Application layer,
In application layer.
right? I'm using presentation layer as a user. I am using presentation layer to access that program. But when I execute that program, where it will execute? In the application layer or presentation layer?
Application layer.
It will execute. The program execution will happen in application layer. But what I am doing here by using presentation layer, I am sending a input. Okay, please execute this program. I am sending the input by pressing this F8 symbol. Click on F8. Now I send the request. Then application in the specific program in application layer will execute and it will return the response. That means output, right? Clear? Request and response. I am sending the request and I am getting the response, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm sending a request through presentation layer and I am receiving a response to presentation layer, right? Let's assume this specific program is using database tables. In that specific program, we are using database tables to get some data. Then then when we execute this program, what will happen? From presentation server, we execute the program, right? Then that program will execute in application server. If there is any database tables used in the program, what will happen? This application server will connect with the
Database layer. Database layer.
database server or database layer, and it will fetch the data from that corresponding table, whatever the tables we are using in the program, and it will provide that to the table data to application layer, and application layer will present that data to that final output data to presentation server. Then we are able to see that in the output, right?
Yes, yes.
So whatever the system we are working, it's a presentation server. It is not a application server or database server. Those application server or database server are maintained somewhere in some office. Okay. For example, if you take any uh, large or big organizations servers, right? It will be installed in a big room. Okay, server in the sense it's not a simple computer, right? It will be maintained in a separate room. A room sized systems will be installed to maintain that server, right? We call that as data centers. You might have already heard that. Data center is nothing but servers, these database servers. Okay. So in SE11, what type of tables we have? What type of database tables we have? So we have database tables. So we can find SAP provided tables as per the standard functionality, and custom tables created as per our requirement, right? We can find two types of tables: standard tables and custom tables created as per our own requirement. Okay. How to search database tables? Simple. If you want to find custom table, what is the starting letter for custom table or any custom objects in SAP?
G or Y.
Z or Y. Z star. and click on F4. These are the custom tables available in the system. Okay, and I'll quickly create one custom table. What is the transaction code for data dictionary?
S11.
S11. Don't worry, I'll give in detailed explanation in the evening session, but I am just giving some overview now. Z demo underscore tab. I'm creating one database table. Create. It is very easy. In some other systems, it's like whoever familiar with some SQL, right? How to create a database table?
Short description.
No. In general, is anyone familiar with SQL? Have you learned any Oracle or any MS SQL server? How to create a table in a SQL editor? They'll use create table, table name, statement, right? SQL statement, right? To create the table. Anyone familiar with those statements?
Yes, sir.
So you need to write a SQL query to create the table. Create table, table name, field, and the relevant data type and everything. But here, you don't need to write any query to create the table. We have this GUI or interface, data dictionary interface, which allows us to use some navigations to create the table. You don't need to write SQL query. What it will do, what it will do, all these navigations, it will automatically convert into a SQL query in background. Okay, we don't need to worry about it. Clear? And it will create the table in database. So you don't need to worry about the SQL statements to create a table by using data dictionary. Okay, so here we must provide the short description of the table. Whatever the can you observe this symbol? It's red color asterisk symbol. What does that mean? Wherever you find this symbol, right? That means that is a mandatory input. That is a mandatory input. We should provide some value to that input. Otherwise, it won't allow you to proceed further. Clear?
F4. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can use F4 to find the available values. Okay. So these are the available values for this field. A means application table, customizing table. So let's assume we are creating table for some master data to maintain customer master data. Check these options and tell me what is the suitable option.
A.
I'm going to create a table for customer master data to maintain all the customers data. So what is the suitable option available here? Just read the descriptions and tell me. And again, I'll explain in detail like what is delivery class and everything. But you just follow. So what is the follow the descriptions and tell me what is the suitable type. First one is application table, master and transaction data. Second one is C, customizing table, maintenance by the customer. Now just tell me what type of table we are creating to maintain master data, right?
Yes, sir. Application table.
So is it not the suitable one, application table option?
Yeah.
Since we are
Yes, sir, it
creating
is.
master data?
Yes, sir, it is.
Suitable, sir, it is.
Yeah. And maintenance allowed. This option is to maintain the data. So just select display maintenance allowed. Next go to fields. What is mandatory for a table? In any database, a primary key is mandatory for every table, right? What the primary key will do? Primary key will uniquely identify the table records. For example, we have an employee master table. We have a employee master table. So can you create two records for the same employee in a master table?
No.
So let's say there is a bank master table, bank customer master table. Can you guys have multiple records for the same customer? Is it going to allow two different accounts with the same account
No,
number?
no, sir.
No, right? Can we create two employees with the same employee ID?
No, sir.
Two different employees, but the employee ID is same. That should not happen, right?
Yes, sir.
Employee ID should be unique for each employee. It should not allow us to repeat the same employee ID again for the different employee, right? For
Yes,
that
sir.
reason, we use primary keys to avoid that, to make every record as a unique record. So that for the employee ID 100, you can create only one record. If you are trying to create one more record again, it won't allow with the same employee ID 100. If the primary key is employee ID. Okay? Employee ID. Let's make it as a primary key. Key means primary key. And go to click on here built-in types. I'll explain in data elements and everything later. Just observe. Go to built-in type. Okay, what is the data type for employee ID?
Z.
What?
Entry ID. The employee ID. Character, sir.
I'm asking about data type.
Character.
What is the suitable data type for employee ID? Character, right?
It's a character.
C. But here it is not just C, but it is char. C-H-A-R. Okay? Instead of C, we use char. Char means character type. And length. What is the suitable length for employee ID? Let's assume it is 10.
10.
EMP name. Is it a primary key? Employee name in general? Can you just think?
No, multiple people will be having the same name.
Let's assume there is an office with 1000 employees. If you make employee name as primary key, there might be multiple employees with the same name, right? There is a chance,
Sir.
right? At least.
Yes, yes.
So if you take employee name as primary key, if a new employee joined and his name is same as any existing old employee, it's not going to allow, right? But it should allow, right? Names can be common. Names can be similar. But ID should be unique. Employee ID should be unique. Okay?
Sir.
Char 40. City. So I've used the data types here, and for example, number. For phone number, what is the suitable type?
And
Here you can find all the different data types.
numerical test.
For number, in table level, we use num_c. Okay? Number 10. For example, DOJ, date of join. What is the suitable data type for date? Date, right? D, right?
Yes, sir.
Here we use DATS. This one. That's. That means date data type only. You don't need to provide length. Okay? I just click on enter. It's automatically assigned length 8. Okay? Now, I've clicked on built-in types, right? Earlier, and I'm
Yes,
able to
sir.
provide individual data types. Let's assume some data types are already defined in a system. For example, city. SAP has provided many standard fields and the standard data types. that we called as data element. ORT01 is the standard data type for city. You can just reuse it if it is already available. Okay. What is the
Okay,
data
sir.
type of this city? Character,
Oh,
length 25. The name is ORT01. ORT01 means data type for city, which is provided by SAP. SAP has already created this data type with this length and data type. We can just use it. We don't need to define again. Okay. And for example, for name also, example, there are many standard data types provided by SAP. As long as it is suitable for our requirement, we can just use it. Name one is another data type, I think. Name. Okay. As long as it is suitable for our requirement. So when you are practicing, right, you'll come to know all these standard data types provided by SAP. Let's assume these are our fields required. Let's save the table. Save the table. It is asking for a package. Assign the package. It is someone else created this. If you click on own transport request, it will show all the transport requests created by you and which are in modifiable status, not released. Okay. I'll just select this. Can continue. Go to technical settings. Next step is go to technical settings. Here we have option called data class. Click on F4, this F4, and I'll explain what is data class in detail in the next session, but just observe the options now. Now just looking at these options, tell me what is the suitable option for our table.
master data transparent tables.
Yeah, master data. We are creating master data table, right? Just select master data. What is the next option? Size category.
Type category.
Size category is nothing but how many records you wanted to store in the table in future. What are the approximate number of records you wanted to store in the table in future? For example, your organization is a mid-size organization which contains thousand employees, and you are implementing the SAP system, and you are creating a table to store the employee master data. Now tell me, what are the expected records in the table? Total expected records in the table, in the employee master table.
On 2000.
Sorry, what is it? I'm asking what are the expected records, total number of expected records in the table in future. So your company, so yours is a company with 1,000 employees. You are implementing SAP and you have created a separate table for employee master data. What are the approximate number of records you are expecting in that table?
1 to 1000, 10 to 1 to 5000.
I'm asking about approximate number of records. That doesn't mean that 1 to 5,000. 1 to from 1 to 5,000 there is huge gap. Approximate number of records are 1,000 to 1,500 in near future, right?
Yes, sir.
Maybe 2,000. But at current, what are the expected records? 1,000 records, right? Since you have only 1,000 employees, you are going to create 1,000 records in the system. And going forward, whenever a new employee got joined, you may need to create one more record, right? So depends on that analysis, you have to assign the size category. Click on F4. Here we have different size categories starting from 0 to 7. What is 0 means? 0 means up to 2400 records it will allow. 1 means it will allow up to 9900 records. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Depends on the requirement, depends on the data you are going to save in the table. You have to assign this size category. For the employee master data, if you assign 7, what will happen? 7 means up to some
51 lakh.
51 lakhs records. We are going to assign that size for the table. Size in the sense what? Where this table is going to actually create. In which layer? We are using this GUI presentation layer and using some application program, and we are creating the table in database server, right?
Yes, sir.
To save the table in database server, we are assigning some space in the database. We are assigning some space in the database, maybe some 10 MB or 20 MB or 500 MB. We are assigning some space in the database. Where we are defining that space? Here, by using size category. Hey, create this table and assign some memory for the table, that is 500 MB, because it's going to hold 51 lakhs records, so that it needs 500 MB of data in the database server, right? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
That's what size category means. Let's assume, so in this case, our company contains 1000 employees, right?
Mm.
For this employee master data, and if I select 7, is it make any sense? 51
No,
lakhs?
sir. No, sir.
It doesn't make any sense, because in the near future, or maybe in 10 years or 20 years, there is no possibility of recruiting 51 lakhs employees and creating the data in your system, right?
Yes, sir.
Maybe what is the possible value? Approximate possible value be
2400.
2400. In near future, you may recruit few more employees, so that it will assign some 50 MB instead of 500 MB. It will assign 50 MB of space. So you are going to save some memory, right?
Yes, sir.
In the database. If you assign 7, it will unnecessarily occupy 500 MB of data, right? What is the most common problems in smartphones after using for 1 or 2 years? What is the most common problems in smartphones after using for 2 or 3
Space.
years?
Memory
You
space
are
will get.
you are keep on taking some videos and photos with high quality images, and then it will occupy the entire space, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you can find at least 50% of the unnecessary or duplicate files or duplicate documents in your phone when you are trying to clean it, right?
Yes, sir.
So here also database space is very crucial for any organization, right? So if they can use it efficiently, so they can save a lot of money and they can save a lot of infrastructure maintenance, right? So for that reason, we should always assign a proper space, not lower limit or not upper limit. We should analyze and we should find some suitable size category for the table. Okay. Let's assume I've created this table with the size category 0. What is the upper limit records? What are the maximum records allowed? how many records it's going to allow if you take 0 size category 0 for the table?
2400, sir.
2400. So I've created this table with size category 0 and which should allow 2400 records. And I transported it to test system and the application is tested and the application is working fine and they moved it to production system. Now, next year, the company is planning to recruit 2000 employees for its new plant and it's going to establish a new plant or new factory. For the new factory, the company is planned to recruit another 2000 records apart from existing 1000. Then what are the total number of employees? What will be the total number of
3000.
count? Some
3000.
3500. Now tell me, is this table is going to allow the additional
No, sir.
employees which we are going to create?
No, sir.
We set the limit, size category limit as 0 and it is 2400. So we can create records up to 2400 and we are trying to create 2401 record. Is this table is going to allow
No, sir.
or not?
No.
The rest of the guys, you should also think and tell me. So we set the limit up to 2400 and we are trying to create, that limit is already completed. 2400 records, employee records are already created. Now the next record, 2401 record, is it going to allow or not in the table?
Yes, sir, it will allow.
But we set the limit to 2400 only, right?
Yes,
It will
but
automatically
it
take
will
Right. It will allow. It doesn't restrict you to create. When you are trying to create additional record which are upper limit to 2400, it will automatically assign one more size category. That is 0. Now what will happen? It will allow another 2400 records. Clear? It won't stop you. It won't raise any error. It will automatically assign one more size category, that is 0 again. Then it will allow another 2400 records. Okay?
Okay.
The system will automatically assign that size category once the limit is exceeded.
That's it.
Some program will run in the background automatically when you are trying to create a record which is upper than this 2400 and it will automatically assign this size category. Okay? And again, after 10 years, you recruited another 2400 employees. Then what will happen? Is it going to stop you to create additional records?
no.
No, it won't stop you. It will automatically assign one more size category, same as 0. Okay? What are we defining here? Approximate size. Okay, I may need some 50 MB of space in the database. Please assign some space. We are providing the approximate size. We are not restricting it to that size. Okay, depends on the future needs, depends on the requirement. It will assign another 50 MB in the database. Okay, instead of assigning 500 MB at once, right? If it is really required, it will automatically assign. Otherwise, it will use the same memory. Correct? Since we are creating master table, we are assigning 0. Let's say there is a company Amazon. There, okay, we are working for a client Amazon and they asked us to create a application for their daily sales transactions. Daily sales transactions. So we need to create a table for their daily sales transactions. So some sales order ID is the primary key, some date of order. So can you tell me what are the approximate number of orders for Amazon daily? How many orders will be created on Amazon database daily? Tell me some approximate number.
10,000.
Only 10,000. Maybe that will be created in one district in a state,
Yes,
right? Nowadays everyone is using smartphones and ordering like anything, even from the smallest village. Maybe around 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs, right? So we are a country with 100 crores of population, right? Maybe Amazon may receive 20 lakhs or 30 lakhs orders daily, right? From all around the country. If they ask us to create a table for to store these transactions, daily transactions, then what is the approximate size category you have to give? Maybe we have to select the most possible size category, maybe 9, right? For that kind of table, because daily we have to save 10 lakhs or 30 lakhs records in the table daily, right? For that kind of table, like if you want to handle sales data of Amazon, if you take 0, what will happen? Daily we are expecting 10 lakhs records which are going to insert it into the table. If we select 0, what will happen? Is it going to allow the additional records or not? First it will create till 2400 records. Then what will happen next?
It will automatically create another.
Automatically it will run a background program and automatically assign 2400 records again and again. The limit is completed because we are trying to insert 10 lakh records in the same day, right? Now tell me how many times that background process has to run to assign the space, to assign the size category again and again for this 10 lakhs records.
Up to 10 lakhs.
How many times? 10 lakhs divided by 2400. Some 400 times that background program whatever extends the size category, whatever automatically assigns the size category, there is a background program is running, right? How many times that program has to run for the 10 lakh records?
400.
400, some 416 times that program has to run. Once 2400 is completed, that program starts running and it will assign another 2400 and it is completed and again it has to run the program and again this will execute until the program execution is completed. Your sales order transactions are on hold, okay, until the new space is allocated by that automatic background process. Your sales transactions are on hold or waiting, right? There is a delay, right? Maybe take 1 minute to complete the background process. Until the 1 minute, all the transactions are on hold, right? So the performance of the overall applications will be degraded. So every time it has to wait to assign the space. So the performance of the application is degraded. Correct? So for that reason, we should allow such kind of tables. We should allow maximum space, maximum size category, so that the background process it doesn't require to run until what is this 4 crores 9. What is the upper limit? Maybe some 4 crores of records, right?
40 crores.
40 crore. So we assign 40 crores for such kind of tables, which is going to receive lakhs of records every day. For example, if you take IRCTC or railway ticketing system table, how many records they are going to create every day? Lakhs of records, right? So for such kind of tables, we provide a maximum size category so that the application performance will be good. Okay. We should not unnecessarily assign more table space or size category, and we should not assign lower size category for the tables which expect huge records. Correct? So we have to do that analysis before going to analyze. You have to check with your functional consultants what are the expected records for this table, approximate records. Okay. No one can define the exact limit, right, for any records. We should assign approximate number of records. Okay. So click on save. I have provided data class and size category. Click on save. Go back. Check your table. Use of data element name 1 is not permitted. Use of data element ORT01 is not permitted. Why it is saying these are not permitted? Maybe looks like there is some ATC check or something is activated and which they are not allowing to use this. For now, just delete the standard objects in the predefined. Looks like it is not accepting the combination of built-in types and data elements. Let's check. There is no errors now. There are some warnings. I'll explain what is that warning. So it is not allowing this custom built-in type data types and standard data types. It will be allowing in the previous versions, but looks like in the new S4 HANA version, the combination of these built-in types and standard data elements, it's not working. So either we have to use data elements for all or built-in types for all. Activate the table. So warnings, no. Now our table is active. What we just did, we created one database table where we created it. In which layer we created this database table? In database layer using S11 interface, data dictionary interface, right? What is the alternative? You have to log in to the database system and you have to open the SQL editor and you have to write a command, create table, zdemo tab, employee ID, varchar 10, like that, right? But here by using data dictionary that is not required. We can create using some navigations in S11 data dictionary table, correct? Now my table is ready. I'll just create some records in it. Go to utilities, table contents, create entries. Employee ID 100. Some phone number. Here you can get F4 help. Just select the date. Click on save. And again 200. 200. Some phone number. Click on save. Again I have entered 200. Is it going to allow? Click on save. What it is saying? A data record with the specified key is already exists. That means a record with employee ID 200 is already created. That's why it won't allow. Okay. Go back and check the records. This one is for contents. Click on contents. Execute. So there are 2 records in the database table. How many records in the table? Here in the contents, you can check the records of the table. Number of entries 2. Execute. Okay. This is how we create a table, and we can create some sample data in it. Okay. What is mandatory for every table? Primary key. 1 or more primary keys. Okay. We can create up to 16 primary keys for each table. Clear? Again, I'll explain data dictionary in detail in the next session.